Let's talk about my top 10 reads of 2024 in as little words as possible because I talk too much. Betting on You by Lynn Painter. I read this right when I was like coming out of a slump, and it really is just the perfect YA romance. It's kind of enemies to lovers, but obviously they're high school kids, so they're not like enemies. But this is full of flirty banter, bickering, and just all the enemies to lovers vibes that you could want in a YA romance. Next up we have Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This is actually my first dark academia book that I've read, and I really enjoyed it. Leigh Bardugo's writing is just so special. It's set at the University of Yale. We follow our main character Alex. There's loads of different societies that all have different powers. It gets quite dark, as you can imagine. I really enjoyed it. I was taking pictures of quotes throughout the whole thing. I can't wait to read Hellbent. I still haven't read that yet. Next up we have One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig, which I'm sure I don't need to tell you about because you've seen it everywhere. But this is a gothic fantasy romantasy. The town of Blunder is infected by this mist. These cards each hold a power or a sort of magic to lift the mist and save the town. Cards must be brought together, basically. Favorite was book 2. I don't have it with me because I read it on Kindle. This is a really good duology. I would recommend this if you're not wanting a huge series. Next up is one of my all-time favourite series ever, I think, Light Luck series, but this is the book Nightbane. This is book 2. So fun if you're fans of like the trial aspect of like the Hunger Games and things like that, and it is romantasy as well. This book has a lot more romance aspect to it than I think the first book does. I think that's why it's my favourite, but it was just, I rated this book 5 stars. It's my favourite in the series so far, and I really think you should read it. I really think you should read it. Next up we have a book that you're probably all sick of hearing about, because this is a series that really opened my eye to like fantasy and things. It's the ACOTAR series, and in particular The Court of Mist and Fury. Yep. I love this book so much, as you can see from all the tabs. I'm not going to say any more about it. If you haven't read it yet, I really think you should read it. Next up is Hello Stranger by Catherine Center. This is the first book I've read of hers ever, and her writing is really fast-paced, easy to understand. In this book we follow our main character Sadie. She is an artist, and at the very beginning of the book she has an accident. She actually turns out having facial blindness. I've never read about, I've never really even seen much about it, so it was really intriguing to me, and you can tell that the author has done a lot of research into it. We're following Sadie as she has a portrait competition, and obviously she's now got this kind of issue that she's having to deal with as well. She also is falling in love, but it's really difficult because you can't recognise faces. Kind of following her through her journey of coming to terms with it, coming to terms with her not being able to potentially do this competition and kind of do what she does for a living. I definitely want to pick up the rest of Catherine Center's books. I think she's definitely a go-to author for me now when it comes to romance.